Okay, so we in the last slide talked about spores, and we're going to break it down so you kind of understand what a spore is or what some of those plants are that reproduce through spores. And we're going to do that today by learning something new. This is called a Freyer model, and a Freyer model is just another way of you learning a new definition, okay, rather than just writing the definition. So I want you to take your notebook paper and turn it with the three holes at the top. And in the center, you're going to draw a rectangle. And from that rectangle, you're going to draw a line straight up to the top, a line straight down, come to the left, and about halfway down, draw a line over, and do the same for the right. So what you've done is you've made 4 different boxes with one in the middle, okay? All right, and in the middle is where we're going to write our new vocabulary word. And today that vocabulary word is spore. So if you'll put that right there. Now, when we make a Freyer model, in the top left-hand corner is where we always write the definition. So I'm just going to write the word definition so I know that. And the definition of a spore is a cell in a seedless plant. And we know that the other plants that reproduce through pollination have seeds. And we are talking today about plants that reproduce through spores because they have no seed. They do not have a seed in them. All right, so that is our definition. The next thing we're going to do is draw a picture. This can be the tricky one sometimes, especially if you're not an artist. But what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to draw, this is supposed to be a fern. So I'm just drawing what looks like a fern. And on that fern, I'm just going to put some little tiny spores. Little dots. And again, those are not seeds, they're called spores, okay? Now down at the bottom, in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to write some examples of plants with spores. So we've already talked about moss, and we've talked about ferns, mushrooms, horsetails. Those are those fuzzy looking tall plants that you see around water. So if you were to find any of these and look at them, you would see that they don't contain seeds. They contain spores, and that is how they reproduce. All right, now what makes this Freyer model so good is that you're not only learning what it is, you're seeing what it looks like. We're talking about some examples, and then at the very end, we're going to talk about some non-examples, what a fern or what a spore is not. So in this column, I'm going to write non-example. So if it's not a plant that reproduces with spores, then it must be the opposite of that is our plants that reproduced with seeds that we've already talked about. So a non-example would be a tree. A tree does not have spores. A tulip does not have spores. A rose does not have spores. Grass does not have spores. So if you look at this Frayer model, it has given you more examples, or it has given you more information than just the definition. It has broken it down into 4 different ways to help you understand what a spore truly is. And we'll be using this Frayer model throughout the year to help us with some new definitions. So I hope that you'll take this Frayer model that you just made and put it in your science, in the science section of your black notebook.